It was nearly closing time at the quiet neighborhood diner when Daniel Brooks, a single dad and former aerospace technician turned janitor, wiped the last smudge off the chrome counter. His worn-out sneakers squeaked with each step, and a tired slump at his shoulders told the story of a man carrying the weight of the world alone. Life hadn't been kind to Daniel after his wife passed away in a car accident 3 years ago. Since then, he juggled odd jobs just to keep his daughter Emily fed and in school. Some days, he mopped hospital floors. Other days, he fixed broken ACs in old apartment buildings. His dream of building sustainable drones for rescue operations was long buried under unpaid bills and unrelenting grief. Still, he had one rule: never trade his values for money. As he tucked his cleaning cloth into his belt and reached for the mop, the diner's glass door burst open with a gust of wind and tension. A woman stormed in, power heels clicking like warning shots. Are you Daniel Brooks?" she snapped. Daniel turned, startled but calm. "Yes, ma'am. How can I help you?" "I'm Victoria Hensley, CEO of Hensley Aerotech. You submitted a drone prototype to our innovation lab 3 years ago. The Falcon project? It was brilliant, ahead of its time. We tried replicating it. Couldn't. I want you on my team. Name your price." Daniel blinked, barely processing her words. That prototype had been his last passion project, submitted in desperation before he gave up that life entirely. Hensley Aerotech had rejected it without feedback, and now the woman who had dismissed him was standing in a diner demanding his talent? He smiled, but there was no joy in it. "I appreciate the offer," he said, folding his apron neatly. "But I'm not interested." Her eyes widened. "Excuse me? You shouted your way in here like I'm an item to purchase. That tells me everything I need to know about your leadership." Victoria scoffed, clearly not used to being told no. "You're mopping floors. I'm offering you a 6-figure salary." Daniel looked her square in the eyes. "And I've got an 8-year-old daughter who values my time and character more than any salary. I'm not teaching her that success comes at the cost of respect." For a moment, the diner stood still. Even the clock seemed to stop ticking. Then, from the far corner booth, a gentle voice broke the silence. "Maybe you should sit down, Victoria." The CEO turned confused. In the corner sat an older woman, wrapped in a beige shawl, sipping herbal tea. She'd been so quiet that neither of them noticed her presence. "Mother?" Victoria said, stunned. "What are you doing here?" The older woman, graceful and wise-eyed, rose slowly. "I came to see the man my granddaughter Emily always talks about. The man who waited outside her school with an umbrella when I forgot to pick her up. The man who helped her fix her robot when her teacher said it was impossible. The man who, without realizing, taught her more about courage and kindness than any textbook ever could." Daniel's mouth fell open slightly. "Emily and your granddaughter are friends?" The woman nodded. "I'm Grace Hensley, Victoria's mother. And yes, they're best friends. I've been listening, Daniel, and I want to thank you for treating my granddaughter like a human being, for not shouting, for seeing people." Victoria was frozen, color draining from her face. Grace turned to her daughter. "You didn't recognize him because you never asked. You shouted your way through life, forgetting that leaders listen before they command." There was a long pause. Then she turned back to Daniel. "You may have refused a job, Daniel, but I'd like to offer something better, not as a CEO, but as a grandmother and former educator. I'm launching a nonprofit tech incubator for single parents, innovators who were ignored, people like you." Daniel's eyes softened. "I don't need a title," he said quietly. "Just a reason to believe again." Grace smiled. "Then we have a deal." 3 months later, Daniel stood in a bright, repurposed warehouse turn lab, surrounded by other single parents. Laughter echoed as kids played in the break area. Emily and Victoria's daughter giggled together, rolling a miniature drone across the floor. Across the room, Victoria, less polished but more human, offered coffee to a young mother sketching circuit diagrams on a whiteboard. She glanced at Daniel and offered a small nod, one of respect, not power. Daniel smiled, his heart lighter. Sometimes, It takes a bold refusal to open the door for something bigger. And sometimes, the quietest listener in the room is the one who changes the future. Moral: dignity is worth more than a paycheck. Sometimes saying no to arrogance opens the door to purpose. And often, it's not the loudest voice that carries the greatest power, but the one that listens.